Hey everybody, here's an update on my Superlite SLC build. A lot has happened and I haven't been documenting a ton of it, so please forgive me. All right, the biggest new development, let me move this out of the way. Biggest new development is the AC is now installed. So this is a Resto Mod Air Cyclone S air conditioning. And I've got my aluminum hard lines. These are the heater lines. And these are using the Vintage Air U-Bendum aluminum hard lines. Much lighter weight than running the barrier hose. And that's plumbed in here with the switch. So there's the heater switch or heater valve, and that has a custom harness to run it all the way to the back of my mid-engine car. A lot of wiring on this thing because of the mid-engine configuration. Most accessories are not wired for having the engine so far away from the firewall or from the front of the car. All right, I did have a problem with my fuel cell. The internal AN fitting was loose and it was causing air to be sucked in, and I couldn't get enough fuel pressure, and that was causing my engine to stumble. So I completely removed the fuel cell, took it completely apart, dumped my Holley hydromats in a bucket with some gasoline, probably the least safe thing you could possibly do, and I had 100% great fuel pressure, and so it wasn't the Holley hydromat, which I was going to blame, but that was not the problem. It was just a loose AN fitting, so now it's cranked in there really snug and shouldn't be an issue anymore. Now the engine runs beautifully, so I'll have to do another clip of the engine running. If you see this box here, this is my custom electronic parking brake controller for my Tesla electronic parking brakes. I got custom brackets that are just made out of angle aluminum. What else? I also tried plumbing in my exhaust valves into my intake to get some vacuum pressure, and I learned that the engine vacuum from the BMW V10 is not enough to open these valves. So I've ordered an electronic vacuum pump exhaust valve control box on eBay. It was about 117 bucks, and so that should be coming in the next week or two from China. And then also, this exhaust was deafening. So every time I started up, I'd have to wear earmuffs or earplugs, especially in the garage with the echo. And I was like, hey, even on the road, this thing is gonna make me go deaf. Like, yay for race car loudness, but this thing was insane. Well, funny thing, these exhaust valves are normally open, not normally closed. So I was always hearing the exhaust at the full bypass straight pipe volume. So when the valve is open, all the exhaust gas dumps straight out of here. But when the valve is closed, it takes a longer path and it comes out of both of these exhaust pipes, and the volume is like half. And so great news, I don't have to replace these bellows with a resonator. This muffler actually sounds great. And when I want it to be loud, I now know it will be deafening loud with the valves open. But the problem is I had to buy that controller to keep them closed. So I was under the assumption that the super loud exhaust noise was the base level, and that if you changed the valves, it would get louder. But I started up the car and just stood behind it and pinched both of these valves shut. And it was quiet and pleasant. And I put these clamps on them too, to try it out, and also just to save my hearing. But yeah, it's pretty freaking awesome. Before I can drive it around the block, I need to get rid of this block. So this mount, this transmission mount, I have a rod that goes from here up to this bolt, but this pipe is in the way. So actually, it doesn't look like it should be in the way. I don't know. So yeah, that pipe is in the way, so I need to kind of extend this bracket, and then I can mount the transmission. The other thing that keeps me from driving around is there was some brake fluid seepage, and so I tightened up a bunch of the fittings. I actually had to get into the footwell. This is the worst part of this build, is working in this hole. So here's my footwell, where I got my Willwood brake cylinders, and they're going to this Tilton reservoir. And yeah, those were seeping brake fluid, so I need to re-bleed the system. But once I do that, I actually want to send this thing off to a fabricator in the Seattle area and get a roll cage made, get a roll bar made. I really don't want to buy all of the tube benders and ring rollers and all the gear it takes to form a chromoly cage. And so I'll need a hoop from here to here, and then bars down the middle over the top of the cockpit, and then support braces that go down, that tie this tower down to this mount that was on the previous cage, race cage. What else? So yeah, I mean, lots of progress. It's basically running and driving. I just don't have any brakes. Also need to reconnect the shifter. I have the Restomod Air controller there. I just have it wired up temporarily. I still haven't got the heater to work quite yet. Maybe I just haven't run the engine long enough for it to get hot enough. But, oh, and then all this open fuel cell and engine access area. I have new panels that are being bent up by Pacific Sheet Metal. They're 1/8 inch aluminum, and they're huge. It goes across this entire back wall, and they're bending them, and I should pick them up on Monday. So hopefully I can get those and make a little video with those installed. That should really make this interior start to feel less like you're on a hillbilly spaceship with the engine, you know, pulleys right behind your shoulder. Be a little bit less terrifying. And I fit the Spider on it as well. So I fit the Spider body, and everything is clearing. Here's the front shell. I want to get to like street legal status. That's my goal. Even before the interior is done, I want to get to street legal. So I get this thing kind of registered. And so my idea is to, so basically get the roll cage done. So get it drivable so I can drive it onto a trailer. Get the roll cage done by someone else. And then really I can mount the headlights, taillights, turn signals, and then this thing should be streetable. which is insane. I gotta hook up the trinary switch. This is what kind of makes, so the AC pressure, this is a pressure valve that will cut off the AC if the refrigerant leaks out. I've tested my cooling fans. They're awesome. They're Meridyne fans. And I built this custom shroud. What else has changed on this? Making these AC lines was a huge pain in the butt. So I had to, see this line, originally this line curved out here and the body hit this AC line. So I had to cut off, I couldn't make this tight of a curve with my bender. So I actually cut this off, bought one of these adapters from eBay for a few bucks, and then welded them together and pressure tested it, and it's all good to go. And then I 3D printed these clamps. So this is PETG polyethylene, and then this is kind of a rubber TPU isolation damper. And so that clamps on with one screw, and it's working pretty good. And then I actually bought an AC, Master Cool AC crimper to crimp these lines on. And then those were crimped onto the original BMW hardware up there. So these AC lines took quite a while to kind of figure out and to fabricate for this build, but I really wanted to have this lightweight aluminum hardline and not these super heavy rubber hoses, because this car is a super light, not a super heavy. And charging this thing, charging the AC system was super easy. You turn on the car, turn on the AC, and then you basically just snap on the little AC charging canister, snap it onto this low pressure line, pull a trigger until it's charged with R12, and you're good to go. I'll show you this thing. So I was so worried about charging the AC system, but it was ridiculously easy. I think this is like 50 bucks. This AC Pro, you literally just snap this thing onto that fitting, snap it on there, and then pull the trigger. And then it tells you when the pressure was right. And you can even hang this little sticker on your AC, and it's a temperature, it changes color at different temperatures, and it shows you that the AC is cold enough. So my AC was blowing pretty cold after I charged it up. And so sorry, this is a mess. So it's pretty awesome. What else? I installed the 2.5 inch AC vents into the dash. So I cut those out. So these are a 2.5 inch hole. And here's the little thing, just a little dusty from all the fiberglass. I still need to order the stereo. Haven't done that yet. But yeah, so one annoying thing about this is the fiberglass edge is so thick, and these plastic threads are they're not much depth to them. And so the backing on this, so it has a cup inside here. Here's the cup. It has this cup, and when you screw it on, well, you can't screw it on because the fiberglass is too thick. So I thinned down the fiberglass, and it still will not, it only catches maybe half a thread and then pops off. So I think I'm gonna source a different 2.5 inch AC vent. It's a pretty common size. But yeah, so I'll source another one. These were like $7 or something like that, or 10 bucks. They're super cheap. But yeah, I need something with a taller screw-in thread to get through this fiberglass thickness. All right, so yeah, making a lot of progress. It always feels like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, but I got the side pods pretty cleaned up. I got the insulation. I painted my coolant tubes black, just with some Krylon. I got insulation on them and these P-clamps, so the whole thing is secured on the side. And I got some tabs that I'm going to just epoxy to the frame that just have hoops for zip ties, and that's how I'm going to anchor these wire cables. And what else? I got a new connector. Got a new amp seal connector for this ECU. I kept taking wires in and out of this, and it kind of messed up this connector a little bit. I also wired up a speed sensor, and I need to 3D print an enclosure for it. So I've upgraded this hubs to the Corvette C6 hubs, or C5 hubs. Come on thing. Why is it not focusing? There we go. I've upgraded to the C6 hubs, which use a variable reluctor speed sensor. And my ECU, the Delta 800, requires a Hall effect style speed sensor, not a variable reluctor. So I had to buy this converter, which is a 12-volt converter. And it basically, it takes two speed signals and converts them from variable reluctance into a square wave, 0 to 5 volt square wave output. And so that square wave output is accepted by my ECU. So now I'm gonna get wheel speed from all 4 corners, which means I can have intelligent traction control. So previously, I just had a single Hall effect speed sensor, which you can see there, that red thing. I'll have to sell that. But yeah, so that speed sensor is reading a toothed reluctor ring that's on the drive shaft, and that's how I was getting my speed. But now, see that little clip? Now I can get speed directly off of the hubs. And so that's gonna be awesome. That's gonna be a little more compact and away from the elements. And I was worried anyway that Hall effect sensor sticking out is gonna get hit by something in the road. And so I'm grateful to be switched over. So I'll have to just sell that bracket and Hall effect sensor and harness and everything to another builder who might be able to use it. Yeah, so those are a bunch of the updates. Slowly but surely getting closer. Just need to keep kind of pushing the ball forward. All right, thanks for checking this out.